Greetings and welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be reacting to Fortune Aeternum episode 50. The devs have asked us to react to this and give our thoughts and, just give them some feedback on what's being discussed here. That's what we're going to be doing today. So let's get straight into it.
Have you identified the main root causes for instability on PTR opening day, and are you confident they will not be repeated at launch?
Yes, we have identified the root cause, and we are confident that that particular issue will not happen on day one of the expansion.
It's the beauty of a PTR. It allows us to catch some of these things before they go live.
Exactly. And if you had hopped into the PTR after we had put the fix through, you notice that the stability definitely got a lot better.
So that's true. I got kicked out every 2 to 3 minutes on the PTR. At least on the NA server. On the EU server, this didn't happen to me, but on NA, I couldn't do anything. I got kicked out after just a couple of minutes. After the fix, it was stable. That's true. I hope it's actually going to be stable on launch, because launch day is always a big problem. I think a lot of people are going to come back, so I know you guys don't want to open up new servers, but you got to make room for people. It's easier to shut down a server if it's not needed than to just like scramble and try to open up one real quick when all the other servers are full. So yeah, don't get caught with your pants down at launch with the server situations. Just put a couple extra servers in just to make sure people that are coming back actually have a place to play.
Cool. And with all the upcoming changes to the gearing system, I would expect that the overall process of getting a very good gear set will be faster and easier than before, and that the need for multiple sets will be reduced. With that in mind, what are the long-term goals for gear progression? How do you plan to keep gear progression interesting in the long term? Can we expect faster gear score increases than before, like 2 years from now on?
Let me start. I think, first of all, one of our goals here was to allow people to get really good gear quickly. Like, we wanted to make that faster. We wanted to make it less of a grind to get that. We wanted to make less requirements to get multiple sets. Again, the focus is on have fun. Like, that's one of the beauties of a classless game like ours, is like you get to experiment with more builds, and we wanted players to have that opportunity. With that said, I do think, like, between artifacts, leveling them up, getting, absolute best 3 perks and 700 gear, there's still going to be a nice runway here also. And we'll talk more about the future of progression in the future.
So let me talk about this for a second. I'm a little afraid, and I don't know if this is going to be the case, but from what I've seen from the PTR, sometimes you get good pieces, but they're just not max level, and there's no way to upgrade them to level 700. So I don't know, like, do I have to like regrind the same pieces of gear until I finally get like one that is high enough gear score? Like, I think a way of like upgrading stuff would still be good. I'm just afraid that I'm gonna have a whole inventory full of gear that is potentially good, but I can't upgrade it in any way. I've seen that with the OPR caches. I opened a whole bunch of them because I played OPR on the PTR, and I couldn't keep any of this really, because the couple of 700 pieces that I got, or like the couple legendary pieces that I got, they weren't that good, and other pieces that looked promising, I had no way of upgrading them to 700 and making them legendary. So I'm a little afraid that this could actually hurt the whole gear progression thing, and I really don't want this game to turn into a big grind fest again, because let's keep in mind, the one thing that people hate about New World and that they always mention when you talk to them is the grind, the grind, the grind. So we need to make sure that there's ways of getting the gear that don't result in you having to grind the same dungeon or the same area, the same boss, like 20 to 50 times just to get the item that you want. And we're going to be talking about that a little bit later. Crafting, I got a couple of things to say about that one as well.
Maybe in a Balance of Power episode.
Oh, what a great place for that.
What a great place.
Are there any plans to change from corrupted portals and invasions into Angry Earth portals and invasions? This is Rise of Angry Earth after all. I'm dreading doing the same invasions I've done for 2 years already.
Well, I'm sorry that you're dreading that. We don't have plans for Angry Earth changes, but if we were to do another race in the future, I think that would be an interesting call out, and it's something that we are talking about, and I think would be a lot of fun.
Well, I don't really have too much to say on that one, but I think it would be nice if every race had their own specific kind of event thing going on. You know, with the corrupted, it's the portals. With Angry Earth, it could be like a stampede. You know, just a couple of animals just running all over the place, and you got to stop them, right? They're attacking like a settlement or something, and you got to stop them. You got to fight them. This could just happen just randomly. You get like a little pop-up that says the stampede is happening here and there, and then you just got to go there and you got to fight with other people, just like a random event, and you just fight them off, and you get a reward for it after it's over. Little like waves, you know, coming of animals, the big elephants and stuff like that. You fight them off, you get a reward. Something like that could be really cool. Make the world, you feel like a dangerous place, and it brings people together just spontaneously to do something together. So I think that might be a pretty good idea.
If you look at how demanding the BIS crafting is going to be, along with getting all the new artifacts, then there is a very long grind ahead of you.
This is an interesting question after the one 2 questions ago where it was too quick. So I think, hopefully we're somewhere in the middle. I do think like the sort of the prismatic scarab crafting is relatively expensive, and that is intentional, right? Because that is pure BIS, best in slot. Like it's 700 gear score. You get to choose all your perks. So that is a little bit expensive, but it's guaranteed to be the absolute best.
Yes, but, and hear me out, it's too much. I understand this is supposed to be something that's not super easy to get, but like I said, I've already touched on this. We don't need more grind in this game. Make it reasonable. You're going to piss people off by forcing them to grind high-end materials for 44 days just to make one item. That is too much. 44 days for one item, assuming you're crafting like a chest, is too much. It should be 1 week max per item. You guys realize that it takes like 450 days for me to craft like a BIS setup, a full BIS setup with 5 body pieces, a shield, 2 weapons, and jewelry. You do realize it takes me like literally like over a year to do that. I don't think that's a realistic time frame or an acceptable one, to be honest. Like I said, 1 week maximum per piece. Because that would already mean it already takes like up to like 2 months, 2.5 months to farm all the materials to get a best in slot set. By the time I got all the materials, like what am I gonna do? Am I gonna farm enough materials for one item and then craft that one? And then farm enough materials for another item and craft that one? And by the time I have enough materials for the third item, the meta has changed and I need a completely new set because, certain perks that I have already crafted on the 2 other pieces are not as good anymore. They got nerfed, or as it turns out, they're bugged, or whatever it might be. This would be very slow to react to the meta to actually craft a best in slot setup. So you need to really rethink this again. This is too much. It costs way too much. You got to heavily reduce the cost of that. I would say half of the cost is still not enough. So I would say half would be the minimum that we need to do. We got to half the cost, probably do more than that. It's just too expensive. People are going to hate it. Because you can't, sorry for being so negative here, but you can't say we improved crafting, but we put it behind a month-long grind for you to just get one item. That's not improvement. That actually made it worse, because in that time, I could have farmed more materials for like orichalcum gear and just went through the crafting process as many times over until I get a best in slot item. So that doesn't make it better. It actually makes it worse. So please rethink that. That's a big no-no that you're doing right now.
Okay. When buying
Okay.
the expansion, is there a chance we will get a discounted bundle that includes a premium season pass?
We are not bundling the expansion with the season pass. The season pass is an in-game purchase, and then the expansion you can purchase through the Steam store.
I'm okay with that.
Are the influence windows currently just for testing, or is the idea that this will also be the time for live?
The idea is that this will also be the time for live. So we'll take feedback from the PTR and we decide if it makes sense. But yeah, what was on the PTR is what we are currently working with.
Yeah, I don't think that's good. I've participated in the influence races. I like it. I think that's a really, really good change. I think that's really going to drive some open world PvP. The problem is people like me, I'm playing on the NA server. I'm not from NA. I'm in a completely different time zone, and I have to wait. The earliest influence race is around midnight for me, which is not good. I would like to play and stream these influence races because I think they promote some really good open world PvP. I would like to stream that, and I would really like to not have to stream super late, because this was already an issue with wars. Now, I haven't done a war in like forever because it's like impossible to get in, and I'm glad we're offering something else that is similar to a war. But the war issue was that most of the war times were like so late that I had to stay up to like 2 or 3 in the morning to even participate in them. So I think you should really make that like at least like add like another time slot, or just pull the time slots a little earlier or something like that. At least like an hour earlier, or you spread them out and you don't do them like over 3 hours in 3 slots, but you don't do them over like 6 hours with 3 slots. So you have your 45 minutes, and then you have the next hour is nothing, and then you have 45 minutes again, and you have an hour break, and then you have 45 minutes again. That way you would spread it out more so that the people that need it earlier can get it earlier, and the people that need to get it later can get it later. So you should really definitely think about doing that. Thank you.
Those are based on like the prime times of server windows, and we want those tight gaps, right?
Yeah, but not everybody is playing prime time, and you can't force people to be on at a time where they don't have time. Because here's the thing, people have lives, right? They got things to do. They got to work. They got to go to school. They have a family. They got to cook. And other people, like myself, they don't want to stay up super late just so they can stream the open world PvP. So yeah, definitely we need better time slots, I think.
Right?
Yes.
Time frame.
Yeah, we don't want it to be too spread out, because the whole point is to get a lot of PvP players into one particular area fighting it out and have.
Yeah, but you're gonna lose people. You're gonna lose people if you make it too tight. I think it's too tight right now. It's just 3 hours out of a day, and not everybody can play in these 3 hours. So I think it's too tight right now.
Having a good time.
It's also super tunable, right? We're going to see in the PTR, but the live audience always behaves a little differently, and we've got cool tools and telemetry to be able to play with that and make sure that it always feels like optimal.
Good.
Okay. What happens to gypsum? Will it become useless?
No, gypsum still has a use, mainly building gypsum orbs out of it. The gypsum caches, are a little bit less useful. They're a good way to sort of get up to that 629. Sorry, let me try that again. Up to that 625 base level if you're sort of coming back to the game. But the orbs will still have good usage between the weapon matrices, which are used for rerolling perks and upgrading heart runes to 700.
Mm-hmm.
We were told there was a PvP surprise we could guess in addition to the influence changes. Was this just Eden Grove? And if so, how are we supposed to guess? A lot of us were hoping for a PvP zone or similar, and it feels like PvPers got left behind again.
All right, so there's a fair amount to unpack here. Now, I could be wrong here, but I'm pretty sure we didn't say a PvP special surprise. If we did, we were referring to Eden Grove replacing First Light, which, by the way, I think the Eden Grove settlement is pretty awesome. Also, PvPers, like the influence change, we think is going to have a major impact on the experience. So it saddens me to think that, you know, while we took the time to add this PvP feature, you still feel left behind. That said, you know, going forward, we have a lot more in mind for PvP. We're just not ready to talk about it. Today is about the expansion.
Yeah, I think the influence races are going to do a lot for PvP. That's going to drive people at the same time into the same spots. I think that's going to be enough for now, but yeah, I definitely want to see more PvP options in the future. More open world. PvP events, maybe. You know, like we talked about this, like caravans. You know, like a caravan starts in one town and goes to the next town, and it's like one faction has to protect the caravan, and when they successfully protect the caravan from attackers, they get a reward at the end. And the other faction has to attack the caravan, and when they attack it and they basically beat the defenders and the caravan, they get their reward. Stuff like that would be very interesting. Outside of that, more arena maps, more PTR maps, maybe even more PTR game modes. Of course, not PTR, OPR. Of course, OPR is Outpost Rush, right? So I don't know if we can add more game modes, but maybe some modifiers, right? Have like different modifiers in different games that kind of change up the rule set a little bit, or just say you get most of the points for holding a point or taking a point, or you get more kills for more points for kills, or more points for gathering resource or something like that. So just put more emphasis on like certain things, change up the rules a little bit, just so that not every OPR is the same, and not that specifically lately we've seen a lot of pre-made groups, and if you have a pre-made group and you have to fight a pre-made group with a non-pre-made group, you know how that's going to go. So I think different rule sets that would allow a non-pre-made team to maybe get a lot of points as well without having to hold the outposts, maybe something like that would be interesting.
Will we be able to reset our territory standing?
No.
Why not?
Jinx.
Good answer.
Neither of you can speak.
People want to reset it because that's a thing that you can easily spec into the wrong thing that doesn't do anything. Because let's be honest, in the beginning, gather speed is interesting. Later on, the gather speed doesn't matter anymore. You got your skill, you got your tools, you have all your increasers that basically make it as fast as it goes. And yeah, it's just, I don't know, like you should definitely make this a respecable thing. You know, people should be able to pay something to reset their territory standing. Or maybe, I don't know, maybe reset it without getting the points back, just so you can kind of refarm that or something like that. Just give people to kind of the option to kind of optimize their territory standing a little bit more.
For the rest of this now.
All right, take it away, Scott.
You already broke that rule.
Weird rules.
Jinx, you don't know the rules of Jinx?
I thought it was you buy like a soda or something for the other person.
No, it's Scott. You can answer the rest of them if you'd like.
We'll see.
I know the rules of Jinx. Come on. Okay. Question about PvE. Is there any plan to add more endgame activities other than mutations? Dungeon scaling based upon how many players in the party? Show some love for the PvE arenas? Any plan to improve invasions? Adding or changing activities which are rewarding players with crafting materials, stat perk mods, high tier crafting materials, etc.? Any plans to build upon corrupted portals, roadside encounters?
There was a lot of questions in there.
A lot of suggestions.
What I'll say is, like, we really want to keep this focused on the expansion. However, I'll give this tidbit. We have major plans to improve the PvE experience. We also have major plans to improve the PvP experience. But that's stuff we don't want to talk about until we start talking about next year.
So I'm definitely in favor. I'm not really like a PvE player too much, but I do enjoy some PvE every once in a while. I do enjoy doing expeditions too, but only to a certain degree. I'm not someone that can grind an expedition if I don't need anything from it. If there's a piece of gear that I want to farm, sure, but outside of that, I don't really do expeditions too much. So having like some other PvE activities, end game PvE activities that are rewarding outside of just like maybe I get a named item or something, that would be interesting. You know, like getting materials, getting some perk mods or something. You know, stuff that feels like it's worth doing. That would be nice.
What will happen in OPR war with the new level ranges? Will people who didn't buy the expansion be screwed?
Screwed's a hard word. OPR, we are raising the minimum level up. We're going to raise everyone up to 675 so they can compete. I know that's not all the way to 700, but that's what we're doing. War is going to be tough. Like, you know, the answer is you're not going to. It's going to be hard to get picked in war if you don't buy the expansion.
Yeah, and
That might be a problem. Um, I don't really, I don't really care too much about this whole subject, but just that sentence sounds like not a good thing. It's already hard enough to get into a war. Um, so I don't know, like making it harder, probably not the best idea, to be completely honest. So yeah.
And just to reiterate, there's no scaling in open world PvP or war, but it will be scaling in Outpost Rush. So I
And
know
arenas.
and arenas, and I know it's a favorite mode for a lot of our players. So you can get in there and be, somewhat competitive. But like Scott said, this is something where if you really want to still be competitive and top of the leaderboards.
With the new BIS crafting recipes requiring so many resources, are there any plans to reduce the amount of materials needed or adding new nodes?
We are looking at this. I think we are considering a slight reduction in the prismatic scarab crafting. We're going to take a look at more data, make a final decision, but that's potentially likely.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, that's just too many materials needed to get one item done. Um, it's just like I said, 44 weeks, 44 days for one item is a bit much. 44 days for a full set, that would be and I mean full. Body pieces, shield, weapons, jewelry. That's more like it. I think that would make more sense. But the way it is now, it's way too expensive. It's too much of a grind. People are gonna hate you for this because people are gonna get very excited about the new crafting possibilities, and then they will quickly realize that this is just a giant time sink for them, and it might not even be worth it to, you know, just grind it out and just go through the pain of just weeks of grinding just to get a set that's maybe best in slot, but best in slot doesn't mean OP. It just means best in slot. And what is best in slot? It's not best in slot for everything. It's just best in slot for one build. And if you play multiple builds, like me, like I rarely ever wear best in slot gear because I'm constantly changing up my builds. I'm constantly exploring new things, exploring new playstyles, making new builds, making build videos, stuff like that. I don't have the time to farm out one freaking set for weeks on end. So yeah, that needs to change.
We're also taking a look at the influx of mithril and the new end resources, and we may like increase the respawn time of those to help compensate for that also.
Yeah, we're going to keep looking and tuning as needed. So we'll be paying attention in data as well as to player reports.
Anyway, I think that's it, right?
Actually, while we're here, what mount are you each going to ride?
Direwolf.
Probably the wolf.
I like classic. I'm going to stick with the horse.
Okay, no lions. Okay, I'm good.
Yeah, it's gonna be the wolf for me too. I think I like the horses, but I think the wolf. Unfortunately, we didn't get to try the wolf on the PTR. But I think it's gonna be the wolf. Um, That being said, depending on the build, if I play a nice paladin build, I think a white horse would suit the paladin. But other than that, yeah, probably the wolf. And with that, I want to say thank you for watching. Thanks for listening. This is my feedback that I have. Overall, I'm happy with most of the changes. I think the crafting needs to be improved, and I think the influence windows need to be looked at a little bit. Other than that, pretty solid. Yeah, that's basically it. That's my feedback. I hope it helps. I hope you can use that to make improvements to the game. And that's it for now. I hope you liked it. Like, comment, and subscribe. And I'll be back with another video soon. Take it easy. Bye bye.